Go ahead.
Sorry. My name is Greg Bird. I'm an Elk Grove parent, and I work for a Christian nonprofit advocacy organization called the California Family Council that's very interested in defending parental rights and advocating for positive values within schools. And I'm here tonight to speak in opposition to the proposed K-8 social studies curriculum under consideration by the district. I have 3 main points. The first point, teaching elementary school children about sexual topics does not belong in elementary school. Second, it doesn't seem to make sense to adopt curriculum that teaches kids to admire certain people that you wouldn't allow to be teachers because of their criminal activity. And third, you have the authority under this law, the Fair Education Act, to prevent this sexualized curriculum from coming into our elementary schools. On the first point, when you introduce children as young as 1st and 2nd grade to sexual orientation, you are introducing them to a sexualized topic. There is no way to talk about someone who identifies as gay without explaining what it means to be gay. You can't explain homosexuality without telling kids it has to do with sexual desires. And once you're talking about sexual desires, you're talking about sex. If you bring the topic up, kids are going to ask. So what are teachers going to tell them? Secondly, curriculum in 2nd grade that's being proposed honors Jose Serraria for his honesty and uses him as an example for kids to admire. But he could never be a teacher in Elk Grove because he was arrested and convicted for sexual activity in a public bathroom, a place known for anonymous sex. The curriculum also honors Harvey Milk for his honesty and bravery, for being honest about who he is sexually attracted to. But Harvey Milk would never be allowed to be a high school
Please
teacher
wrap up your overtime, sir.
in Elk Grove based on his well-known sexual relationship with a 16-year-old. And what I provided you was chapter 3 of his autobiography, a whole chapter explaining his sexual relationship with teenagers. So, and then lastly, you're going to be told that you have to implement this curriculum. If you look at the Fair Education Act website, it says that it's up to the teacher, the local school district, to determine how the content is covered and at which grade levels. I simply encourage you to move all of this sexualized content into junior high and out of elementary school.
We got it. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, board members, for allowing me this privilege. My name is Edward Ortiz. I'm a father. I have young children that go to Elk Grove School District. I really appreciate the fact that you're giving me this chance to be able to speak my mind. I don't have a whole lot to say. I'm not very eloquent. I moved my family over here because I knew how the education system is over here. I don't understand how the board or this law came into play, but nevertheless, I'm totally against bullying. That should be one of the subjects that should be brought up. Maybe a topic to where it displays bullying, how it's not tolerated, regardless of how you feel or what your sexual preference is or whatever. Nevertheless, I plead with the board to not take away my rights to be able to at least opt my child or children out of this portion of the education system. I believe we live in a great country to where we have freedoms. Just as much as I wouldn't try to enforce my belief system onto somebody else, I would expect the same courtesy so that I don't feel like I'm in a socialist country. Again, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, the following, Elder Ortiz, Phil Fuller, and Nicholas Barra.
Good evening, board. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. My name is Elda Ortiz. I will be
I want to
reading
pull the
off-
mic down so we can hear
Oh,
you,
sorry, I'm
please.
short.
Thank you.
I had to type it up real quick because I, got off of work doing my 9-hour shift. I am a mother of 4. My oldest is 26, who's looking into teaching, and I have a 4-year-old, the youngest. And then I have a high schooler who's a senior this year, and I have a 9-year-old. We moved out here from Monterey County, and it's been a blessing to be here. Our children have been very empowered in the education system here in Elk Grove, and we are grateful for that. I'm here to plead with you to please allow us at least to opt out of the LGBT curriculum, just like we have been for our other older children for the family life. The Bible and God was taken out of schools. Why impose a preference upon all children that might not be practicing this lifestyle? Bullying appears to be a higher risk that, if not addressed through teaching and extensive training to our children in schools, can become a fatal consequences. There comes a point where the responsibility of certain teachings should be left for parents in their homes. We should be able to exercise our freedoms. Why should homeschooling be my only resort for my children? Because we are a family of faith. We have nothing against the LGBT community. My children have friends that are gay and bisexual, specifically right now my high schooler. And they have been able to be open to her because she was taught to love everyone and to be friends, even with those that no one would want to be friends with. That's how my children were brought up. And my daughter has been told by these children that they're afraid to tell their family. It all goes back to the home. And so I just plead with you that we should teach our children about not bullying regardless of what they decide to choose for their lifestyle. This goes beyond, and we just ask that you do not take our rights as parents, as U.S. citizens that we are here, and that we are all different. We're not here to target a specific community. We're here just to
Please wrap
exercise
up.
our rights.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Board. Thank you for listening to us tonight and opening your eyes and your minds along with us. I had the opportunity, my name is Phil Fuller. I'm a parent of multiple kids at Butler Elementary and also serve as a pastor in town here. And I have had the opportunity to review the curriculum, and by and large, it's good curriculum. I understand that. There's a lot of good things to it. I'm wholeheartedly in favor of increased diversity in the curriculum and the nationality, the cultures, celebrating people with disabilities, and the accomplishments of people from all walks of life. And I believe that every person, regardless of where they come from or how they live their life, is due the honor and the dignity that every other person on this planet is due. That said, I have 3 concerns regarding especially the inclusion of the LGBTQ agenda in the curriculum. Number 1 is the quality of the character and the individuals used in the examples. Already stated was Jose Julio Saria and Harvey Milk, who would have been fired or never hired in this district. And you guys know that full well. And even as I was leaving this evening, my daughter said, and she didn't even know where I was going, but she said, can you ask them about this? And she hands me, my 9-year-old daughter, a newsletter where it's tackling gay rights and elevates Harvey Milk as a hero. We've already heard about his story. And she says, and it says sex 9 times. And now, we've talked to my daughter about sex, and we talk about respect for those of different lifestyles regardless. But that is something that should be tackled in the home and allowed for me to help her understand how to respect others rather than it being indoctrinated in the school. And that's in a very brief article. And the third thing, that's my third point, is that this really does belong at ages of 6 or 8 or 10 for parents and guardians to be the ones helping their children understand how to treat others with respect. It's been said that this is not sex ed.
Please wrap up, sir.
Understand that, thank you. It's been said that this is not sex ed, but don't tell me that it's not sex ed when they're included for the sole reason that they represent the LGBTQ movement and lifestyle. And so I respectfully ask the board to consider other curriculum options which respect the mandates of the Fair Education Act, but don't go so far in pushing this agenda. Thank you.
Board members, I'd like to thank you for allowing us to give our opinions on this tonight. I appreciate that. I am fairly new to Elk Grove. I've been here for 3 years. I have 3 children in the One in the district now, another one joining next year in kindergarten. So I live here. This is my home. And I am also a religious person. I have some very deeply held religious beliefs, and the objections that I have to this curriculum stem along those lines. My beliefs do not include harming anyone else. They do not include disrespecting anyone else. So I want to make that very clear right now. But they do involve a very deeply held set of religious and moral values. And one of the biggest problems that I have with this curricula, which some others have expressed already, is that this curricula undermines my efforts to instill those religious morals into my own children. I would like to read a couple of quotes from an online magazine called Queerty. It is, as Time magazine says, one of the leading LGBTQ magazines. And as of 2015, it had, I believe, 5 million unique monthly visitors. So this is not some small-time magazine. So the author of this article several years ago refers to the National Organization of Marriage and says, quote, they accuse us of exploiting children, and in response we say, no, we're not going to make kids learn about homosexuality, we swear. It's not like we're trying to recruit your children or anything, but let's face it, that's a lie. We want educators to teach future generations of children to accept queer sexuality. Further down in the article, it also says, why would we push anti-bullying programs or social studies classes that teach kids about the historical contributions of famous queers unless we wanted to deliberately educate children to accept queer sexuality as normal? So with the law that California has passed, this seems to be a part of it, and I have a problem with that. The curriculum we have now is fine. Others have expressed the desire to opt out or make it so that we can opt in. Elk Grove is a very diverse place. And yet, with this new curriculum, it is not going to serve the needs of all of the members of the community. I don't understand why we have to have one curriculum forced down from above when there are so many different views, different people in this district. Why can we not have multiple curriculums? Why can we not have more choice? It is said that in the United States, we don't have a
Please
king,
wrap
and
up,
that's
sir.
true. Thank you. We have many kings. We have many kings and queens even. People that have a little slice of power where they can decide what happens in other people's lives. And in a very real sense, that is you today. And you will make a choice that will affect us. And I hope and ask that you will make a choice that will allow us to have more influence in what our children are being taught. Again, I say all of this with respect. I mean no ill will or harm to anyone. But these are some very deeply held beliefs that I and many others in the community have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Madison. Let's see, so last night I had the pleasure and honor of presenting to the Stonewall Democratic Club to provide an update regarding our K-8 history and social science instructional materials, the sort of the timeline and the process. And I want to very clearly, as one board member, state very loudly and proudly that I am a proud partner and ally and advocate of the LGBT community. It's very painful to hear some of the comments because there's just so many misconceptions and untruths. And as a board, as a school district, I would love to see us provide additional information and resources. I think we've done a pretty good job navigating through the process, but I think that there's still a lot of uncertainty. I do feel a lot of the comments, some, however, obscene, they're simply not true. And so when left there, unchallenged, I know that it's very easy to accept. So I'm not addressing any one particular comment, but I know that there were a lot of misstatements of what is accessible in terms of our curriculum proposals. I have a niece who's gay. And when I think of children, I think of all children with that equity lens. Every child has the right to see themselves in the curriculum. It is a matter of equity. It wasn't that long ago when we didn't see Sikhs in curriculum and Muslims, and there were biases that still floated that assumed that perhaps we are the Taliban or Islamic terrorists. It is incumbent upon educators to provide education. It is what the key to addressing ignorance and hate. And I'm not saying all of the anti-comments regarding the curriculum proposals are centered in hate, but I do think that a lot of them are misguided, and a lot of them just don't have the information, and I challenge that a lot of them perhaps even haven't bothered to read the proposals. Because a lot of the comments, they just simply are not true. And I want every child to know that there is, and I know that there's more than one, but I am a very proud ally and a very proud advocate. I'm here to speak for my niece, who didn't see herself in curriculum. She had a very hard time growing up. It wasn't until her early 20s that she really fully accepted who she was. I remember being there in those critical years when there was a lot of anger and lashing out. These kids are suffering. They're not any different than a black kid, an Indian kid, a Native American kid. They are kids. They are members of our community. This isn't sex education. These are groups of human beings. It's about humanity. So I wanted to update the board on my presentation to provide a clarity to an ally that is in need of support. And I also challenge us as our school district to provide greater understanding and clarity of the misconceptions. Not so much a rebuttal on every statement, but there's a common theme that I have seen from the last board meeting to this board meeting. And just some basic fact sheet, I think, would go a long way. For those that have made up their mind and will never change their mind, that's okay too. I respect everyone's opinion, but I'm a proud ally, and I will always continue to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bobby Singala. Crystal, do you have any comment?
I would just like to thank her because I appreciate the comments. Being in the field of education and working in higher education, and we have a very diverse community at the college campus that I work, and it's respecting each other's differences and making sure that we have a curriculum that's reflective of that. Being from the American Indian community, when we talked about gay, bisexual, we'd often talk about in some of the research works, the early research works, two-spirit. And so to walk in two different worlds, but also referencing the sexuality of a person. So I appreciate all the comments that were held tonight, and you know, it just makes me reflect back on even the college teachings and being able to teach our young children at an age acceptance of each other and being fair of each other's differences, but respecting that. So those comments go a long way, and I appreciate that tonight.
Thank you. I'm also a supporter of the Stonewall Foundation of Greater Sacramento, and also past supporter when I was a member of the Sacramento County Democratic Central Committee. I have long history working with them and supported them since my education throughout California. And I also support support them empowering LGBTQ youth throughout Sacramento County, but also throughout California. And that's a group of students that, you know, need help, and we should support them 100%. Any comments?
I'd like to point out a couple of really moving or thought-provoking or deep statements that we heard today that are going to stay with me, so I wrote them down. During public comment, one person said, courage is so rarely simple or easy. I thought that was really both simple and powerful. Someone else told us the stories we tell in history are always unfinished. And both of those I wrote down because they're going to stay with me, and I think they will guide my thinking and hopefully our decisions as we look at the social studies curriculum adoption. I conceive of my job as a school board member to be advocacy for children and that means more advocacy for the kids that need greater advocacy. So that is certainly going to color my decision-making on my review of any curriculum adoption, and I look forward to us actually having that before us. Thank you.
Just a couple of comments that I just want to make and follow up on some of the board members have made about tonight's public comments. You know, I reflect back at my age and being a minority. I can really attest the hate and the discrimination that I personally went through, and the bias in the public education system at that time when I was a kid, not knowing nothing about your heritage, wasn't taught. So we're mindful of that now, and we have to be conscious of it and move forward with it. So I think we're heading in the right direction. I saw some of the tweaks that was done on some of the books that are coming out. So we'll look to see more, maybe a little bit more tweaking in it a little bit, but I'm a firm supporter of it as well as Bobby Singh Allen. So I just want to bring that up as well too.